Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Marked by Wrestling, where being a mark just means you believe, and believing makes wrestling better. Well, recently, we have seen some developments on Monday Night Raw about a new and upcoming group of, dangerous looking people. That's right. Paul Heyman, the wise man who has both turned his back not only on Roman Reigns, but also on CM Punk, has joined in league with Seth Rollins, who has now also recruited Braun Breaker to be something of an enforcer in his group. And to discuss the matters of this faction, I welcome you to our chat to discuss this matter, but I didn't come alone. I also am joined up with a bit of a coalition myself. And I've been told that my introduction is not up to speed, is lacking and inappropriate. So if you'll bear with me for just one moment, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the greatest YouTube channel of all time, the GOAT, the best chat space to enjoy professional wrestling together in a healthy environment. Staying alive, 9 to 5, no shucking, no jive, Lakers in 5. It's A&B Combos Wrestling Edition. Welcome to the show.
Cup of coffee in the big time, yeah. Cup of coffee in the big time.
Well,
got
thank
the
you.
lovely Elizabeth here, yeah.
Well, thank you
What is
guys
going
so
on, Mark
much.
by Wrestling? Whoop, whoop.
Hey,
Thank you
happy
for
to
having
be
us.
here. I wore my fancy WrestleMania shirt for you guys today.
That's what I'm
Thank you so
talking
much.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
How's that? Is that all right?
It breathes nice. Yeah. It fits
I love it.
nicely. It has Mr. Seth right here on the corner, who's topical
love
for
it.
this evening as
All
well.
right.
Loving it. It was popular in my house when everybody saw it. So thank you so much
Nice.
for your
Good.
kind gift. I hope it didn't cost you, the price of a down payment on a house. So I really appreciate the
Yeah,
generosity.
it was not quite SummerSlam.
It wasn't SummerSlam elite prices.
Oh my God.
Well, I mean,
Absolutely.
let's be honest. Shopping at WrestleMania isn't the most cost efficient. Most of the stuff I wanted, there was that WrestleMania jacket you saw me wear when we did the podcast. I wanted it there, and then he looked online and he's like, "This is like $20 cheaper online." I'm like,
and
okay.
It has the discount promo.
Yeah, so I'll just won't get
Man.
it right now. So I know some people want to wear it right that minute.
And ain't that serious?
And for like a gift, it was like the point of being at WrestleMania. But some of the stuff,
but yours
we'll
was
just order
actually
this later.
purchased there in Las Vegas, just so you know. That
Because
was not a shop.com.
it had to be Las Vegas. It had to be some memento.
Had to do it, brother.
Well, I appreciate it so much. I look forward to propagating the lie that I was there whenever I wear it out in town. So I'm very excited for that. No, thank you guys again so much. And thank you guys for joining us and everybody who's filing in. I see Justin, Alan Crane. I see Rickardy, Dossie. Welcome. Jaden Winchester. Good to see you. And thank you guys for making the pilgrimage over from NXT into our bonus discussion.
Yes, hey,
Dossie. So A&B. So we're here to talk about this new group that still at present time doesn't really have an official name. We don't. I'm not even sure we have an official motivation even yet for Paul Heyman. But that doesn't mean. Yeah, that doesn't mean it's not entertaining. Doesn't mean it's not making an impact. I mean, they made an impact immediately with Punk and Roman, and again last night with Sami Zayn. So, stage one of this conversation, I'd like to defer to my brother and sister here. Becky, you can go first if you want to let us know just what your analysis, what your feelings are about the story so far, and and I don't know, where do you see it? What do you think of it? Both good and bad, if there's any, and any feedback you have to offer.
Well, first of all, I love it. I think that everybody was saying, we're getting tired of you, Seth. Like, you've been here, you had a vision. What does that even mean? That our vision is blurred because your clothes are crazy? Like, nobody knew what the vision was. He didn't know what the vision was. And And so I think that even though I really liked his role in WrestleMania last year, there was a common consensus that they were like, okay, Seth, like we just, whatever, change it up, do something. And this was awesome. I think that Braun needed this. I think Seth needed this. You can't go wrong when you have Paul Heyman, and Paul Heyman betraying his two best guys. I mean, it's magic. I love it. I think that we haven't had anything that was this like emotional since like the Bloodline story, and I don't believe for 1 minute it's just going to remain these three, not for 1 minute. And I think there's so many questions, right? Because so many people need to come back. And then there's people who were like, what are you doing with, who are lost in the wings? That could be. But just the way that it has started so far, magic. I love it.
Mm-hmm. Everyone loves the smell of their own brand, don't they?
Yeah,
that says magic.
What do you have to say, my brother?
Well, first and foremost, I'm calling them Rollins Angels. Okay. Unless they come up with something else. They're Rollins Angels. There you go, Steven. That's what I'm talking about. It's Rollins Angels to me.
Got the feathered hair. I would love if Rollins came out with his hair feathered like Charlie's Angels.
He could pull
he already dressed like that.
Don't put it past him.
He could pull it off.
He could.
He could pull off the faucet on that one.
Braun, I'm not so sure about.
Well, first and foremost,
Braun could do the
and I saw a TikTok on this as well. They were like, did anybody notice the spray on bronzer on they call it Bronze Breaker?
Yes. Him and Paul
Heyman,
both. Yeah.
I mean, and then you see Seth in the background. They made him look like Sheamus.
Mm-hmm.
A big jar of mayonnaise.
So yeah, I need whoever is backstage to be like, come here, boo boo. They both need an unk. I'm gonna need no. We're not doing this. Okay. Right? That's number one. Number two, let me tell you what this gives me. This is giving Temu Bloodline. Okay, we've got, and I'm talking OG Temu Bloodline. It's almost a cross between that and the new one. Well, no, excuse me. It's giving shades of the OG Bloodline and the Temu Bloodline, because you had Solo as the enforcer, and he was supposed to be the loose cannon, and he did his role well. Obviously moved up, and then you've got Solo Sikoa in the Temu Bloodline, and that's what happened. The reality of the situation is this: Braun Breaker don't play nice, okay, with nobody. He's a lone wolf, okay. He's a lone wolf, if you will. I'm sure the way they're gonna play it. He's dressing in the fine suits, like Ric Flair. We got the wingtip shoes, like we're styling and profiling, which is all well to the good. Is the possibility of them expanding this? We'll talk about that, but right now it is giving, this is not a sustainable group, is what I'm seeing. It does not feel sustainable. We have a whole bunch of egos in here. We have a man that cannot be trusted. And we also have, which we saw what happened on Monday Night Raw, but you also saw the look on set, again, keeping it all under the K-Fab umbrella. You saw how Sami Zayn was getting in the ear of Mr. Seth freaking Rollins. And I think this feels like somebody's like, you know what you're saying to me is the right thing, and I hear what you're saying, but I do not want to acknowledge this. I'm going to go full Anakin right now, because I never truly believed, because I know that's the 25th anniversary, if you can believe this, 25th anniversary of Revenge of the Sith.
That's why it's in the theaters.
And that's why
currently in theaters.
I was wondering. Yes, I was wondering.
25th anniversary Revenge of the Sith.
Mm-hmm.
And I never truly believed in, and I don't know what it was, and I'm not going to go down this rabbit hole, but I never really truly believed in Hayden Christensen's performance of this is why I'm going rogue. It didn't have enough weight for me. I had no issues with the movie overall. We can talk about that another time. And I'm saying all that. That's it. But I'm saying all that to say that I kind of get that feeling with Seth Rollins. I feel like he's trying to do something. This is a man that was on his own, and now he's got a He's got another shield, if you will, just to some degree. And this time, unlike the last time when he stabbed Roman Reigns in the back, unlike the last time when he decided to cash in, I believed it last time. There was nobody in his ear saying, hey, man, this is baloney. And you've got Sami Zayn telling it like it is. And I think he's not trying to hear it. I really think it's like, you know what? No, I'm not. I'm really not trying to hear this. I'm going forward, even though what you're saying is making sense. We're friends. And you know what? I got to put you down. I got to put you down. And this is for my benefit. So you're the good angel on my shoulder that I really I'm trying to flick off.
Right.
And that's Rollins Angels. That's how I feel about it.
That's crazy, babe. Like what male faction didn't have loose cannons and egos? I'm confused by what you're saying.
Look, the bloodline, the OG bloodline, what are we talking about? 3 years? 3+?
Yeah. I mean, they started forming in 2020, piece by piece. And you could point to WrestleMania 40 as the apex fracture of that group. So which would have been what, 2024. So you're looking at that group kind of came and went and in about a 4-year period. And that was all, but that was also, centered around a historic title reign too. Like they really put all their eggs in that storyline's basket.
And that's what I'm saying. We've got 2 losers. Like this. We've got 2 losers in this group. And I don't mean they're losers like that. I mean, as in they lost belts.
Oh,
they lost belts. You don't have that anchor, if you will. That's you're centering around. You're just like, you're the visionary, you're the revolutionary. We never got Seth's vision ever. We never got an explanation of what that is. We never got an explanation of his revolutionary. We never got anything. He was just doing his thing, dressing crazy, singing his song, and that's pretty much it. He took some time off because he had some injuries. He's just been floating around doing whatever Seth Rollins does. So I don't really know what this is. And with and this weird thing with Paul Heyman, it didn't look right. It didn't feel right. The only time that it seemed to make sense was when Paul was talking to Sami Zayn about essentially like, look, I have my reasons for this. Just like you had yours. Just like you had your reasons for this. And that was the only moment I'm like, okay, that actually makes sense. And I get it. I don't get it with regards to CM Punk because we're just surmising. We're just guessing. We have not got an explanation as to why he decided to turn on his so-called best friend CM Punk. So it all feels very fresh. It feels very new, feels very weird. And I'm trying to get used to this, whatever this is. But yeah, Bronze Breaker and Paul Heyman, they can do whatever they're doing right now. We'll see.
Yeah. Well,
right.
Okay. No, I mean, we've got a pro and a con here. Okay, that's a good. It makes for interesting conversation.
Guy who doesn't like change, so anything new, you're like, "What is this?" So maybe you just need to get used to it. I'm just.
But and to A's point, there is a lack of explanation currently in the first couple of weeks. Like, there's still not a clear motivation as to why. Because like, it was kind of like putting a hat on a hat in the WrestleMania main event where he turns on Punk, and then we're all thinking, oh, he and Roman were, and like my first thought was, oh, he just told Punk he'd be in his corner. He didn't say nothing about being loyal to him, and then boom, he turns on Roman too. And so like, and I get from Roman's perspective, like his story going on alone for a little while. Cause I'm still fantasy booking in my heart for a long road to redemption for Roman. And he's going to have to be alone for part of that to happen. Right. But yeah, for Heyman though, I still don't know exactly what he's thinking yet. And like you said about Seth too, like, there's validity in that criticism, but I will say this, I am interested in what the potential is for Seth, because I have a weird relationship with Seth. Kevin Owens, who is now, God bless him, may he get get well soon. There's a few guys on the roster who have been so dependable that I kind of take them for granted. I get used to them being around. And Seth has been one of those guys for me for a while that's like, how can I miss you if you won't go away? And when he took that beating last year from Bronson Reed, I was so excited because I thought he was going to be gone much longer than he was. Not because he's going to be off my TV, but it's like when he comes back, I'm going to be excited to see him again. And he's going to have a refresh probably of some kind. But he was gone like what, 3 weeks, 4 weeks?
Yeah.
I mean, you know,
about 20 minutes.
Fathers and other industries get longer for paternity leave. Like, so anyway, he was back before I knew it. And like that, you know, I don't ever want to complain about a man showing up to work, but like, I just like, oh man, like I was just getting ready to wanting to see you, starting to think about wanting to see you back. And you already showing up again. So, I will say this, something that has me excited, a positive about this. I really loved the way that Seth interacted with Sammy last night. I love the position, whether he's sincere or not, which I think is something they can dig into. This whole I care about you. And they've spent months showing us how much of a demon Braun Breaker is, of like, I can't hold this dog on this leash forever. So I'm giving you an out because I like you. Please take this out because I cannot be responsible for what happens when this leash pulls itself out of my hands. And kudos to the production team, whoever had their finger on the theme music button as soon as Sammy said go to hell and the siren started playing. I was like, oh my gosh, it's like the nuclear warhead has been launched and there ain't nowhere to go. I'm like, oh man, like by the way, that's the power of entrance music, by the way. When done right.
Yes.
Like,
we're not supposed to go, wait, who is this? Who's
we're not supposed to go, who is this? But also that was the first time like hearing that air raid siren, like I felt my stomach drop for Sammy. I'm like,
it's like we both turned our key, we pressed the button.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Yep. I'm sitting here like Oppenheimer, just like, oh my gosh, you know what's about to happen. And so I like that. And I was chatting with somebody today. We were talking about that moment. And honestly, there's a part of me that would love it if at some point, if he doesn't do that with everybody, but he has one of those moments again with somebody else. Say like Jimmy Uso. I don't know. I'm just making something up. You know, like somebody who could be a contemporary, a peer of Sammy's, you know, and he goes and does that again. And if that person takes the deal and he sicks Braun on him anyway.
Yep.
Like, wow. Yeah.
That would give, like, I feel like that would give such a good heel moment because I want to be complimentary to the performers. Because I think they're really giving what they can, but I've got some real beef with the WWE crowds these days. Like,
you are not the only one.
They are just popping for everything. And like, I was at a fever pitch last night, seeing them cheer Sammy for defying Seth. And then as soon as he started getting beaten by Braun, they were cheering for Braun. And then after Seth hit the stomp, they're cheering for Seth. I'm like, you guys aren't booing anybody, like, except for Logan Paul.
Don't know what you want. Except for Logan Paul.
Do you guys realize that you have made Logan Paul the most hated heel in wrestling now? The most over heel in wrestling because you refuse to boo any of the other people who are trying. You're refusing to boo Cena. You're refusing to boo Seth. You're refusing to boo Braun. You're barely even booing Heyman at this point. Like, dude, like do you want Logan to be world champion? Because that's how you get Logan as world champion. Like, start booing some of these other men doing their jobs out here, you know? Anyway, little side rant over there. So anyway, I think there's a lot of potential there. I am very curious to see what is next for the group. And I don't think, I don't think that it should stay in its current form either. I definitely think they need to grow. To what degree, I don't know. But I will say this. So like, hey, you were comparing it sort of to the bloodline. I kind of see it as a hybrid of evolution. And you have like Seth clearly is positioning himself as the main eventer here, and Braun, I do see kind of Braun actually as a hybrid of Randy Orton and Batista at the same time, because he's a monster, but he's also kind of next man up like Randy was in his younger days. So I feel like he's both of those guys at the same time. And then Paul, Paul's kind of the flair of that group. Like, I mean, I don't expect him to be active, but anyway, they can, right. They can grow a little bit, but it also reminds me of another group in the past, which is known as the Dangerous Alliance, which was done in WCW. And what's funny about this, not funny, but just interesting. You mentioned the Bloodline, and we established here they lasted about 4 years in just one iteration, right? I was doing the math earlier today. The Dangerous Alliance lasted 6 months.
Jeez.
It only lasted, it went from November 1991 to May 1992. And so if I can go in WCW, and I could have sworn it lasted longer than that, but it was actually really short. And it was helmed by Paul Heyman and this dude right here, Ravishing Rick Rude.
Ravishing Rick Rude.
And so if I can give a speedy history lesson on that before I show everybody a visual aid here. So Paul Heyman or Paulie Dangerously, as he was known as at the time, was a commentator for WCW. He had been fired on screen from his commentary job, and he wanted to exact revenge on all of WCW. And so the first thing he does is he goes for their top babyface, which is Sting at the time. And Sting, they attack him at Clash of the Champions in November 1991 from Savannah, Georgia. I was actually, as a 10-year-old kid, was at the Clash of Champions right before that one that was in Augusta, Georgia, and I missed out on that one by one, which would have been amazing because it turned out to be a landmark show. But I ain't complaining. It was the first televised wrestling event I ever got to go to, and I was just excited to be there. But in that event, Sting was supposed to defend the U.S. title against Rick Rude. Okay, Sting had been getting these mysterious boxes delivered to him with like random gifts, and he'd always be getting attacked by somebody. Like he got attacked by Abdullah the Butcher once at that clash that I was at. He got attacked by Mick Foley, by Cactus Jack at that time, which was wild. And then at this one, he's attacked by then world champion Lex Luger earlier in the show, heel Lex Luger. And Medusa was actually like the distraction. So he used a distraction to him while Luger jumped him. And so he's injured bad, like his knee is taken out. And beautiful Bobby Eaton, formerly of the Midnight Express, comes to his aid. He's a babyface. And they're like, go to the, he's supposed to defend the U.S. title against Rude in the main event. And so he tells Sting, he's like, go get your knee checked out, go in the ambulance, get to the hospital. You have plenty of time to come back and it'll be all right. And so he takes Bobby Eaton's advice and goes. But after he leaves, Paul gets on the mic and says, by the way, according to the match contract, if Sting doesn't show up at match time, he gives up the belt. And Rude's the U.S. champion. And in that same night, this was little Steven would have been so excited to be here for this moment. The tag team champions were Arn Anderson and Larry Sabisco, and they were taking on Dustin Rhodes and Barry Windham for the tag team titles. Arn and Larry jump Barry Windham at the beginning of the night, slam his hand in a car door, which you don't see that kind of violence as much these days. And backstage singles. Yeah. So Barry's out. So Dustin is taking him on by himself. He finds a mystery partner. Mystery partner is the returning Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. There you go. And Steamboat and Dustin, through the surprise and the unpreparedness, win the tag titles. And then Sting is driving like Stone Cold style, driving the ambulance back to the arena. They're doing a split screen with like Rude in the ring, telling the ref to start counting to 10. And he comes in, half of his knee is like half of his tights are torn off with his knee wrapped up, and he's limping like baby face of all time, limping to the ring. And he just gets his stuff rocked, and he just gets destroyed, and he loses the match after a hope spot.
E for effort.
Yeah, E for effort. I know, right? Completely. So at like 3 or 4 days later, they're doing like the Saturday night TBS show, and Paul comes out with Medusa and Rick Rude, and he says, I want to introduce you to the Dangerous Alliance. And so he's like, we're here to destroy WCW. We already started with Sting, and we're gonna go run everybody over. Because first of all, two guys in the back were screwed over by an unannounced tag opponent and Ricky Steamboat. So Arn Anderson and Larry Zbyszko, they come out. It's like they're a part of the Dangerous Alliance. Also, somebody I didn't mention, an up and comer, the television champion, Stunning Steve Austin. Coming out, who had only been with the company for a few months. He was brand new. And then brings out, from Hollywood, California. Yeah. Right. The Texas accent. From Hollywood, California. And then he goes, by the way, if you were paying attention, you realized that somebody, a close friend of Sting's, kept him from getting to the match on time. Beautiful Bobby Eaton is our last member of the Dangerous Alliance. And he was subtly turning on Sting in that moment, which was, explained a few days later. So what I want to share is that worked its way up to a 5-on-5 War Games in 1992. And so I just want to share this this match. Wow. This is a WCW magazine double layer cover, and I had this at one time, but you see I think it'll be on your right, everybody. It's the one with Paul Heyman in it. You see Rick Rude, Arn Anderson, Steve Austin, Larry Zbyszko, and Bobby Eaton. The amount of Hall of Famers in that picture is absolutely wild. For that time. And they had a War Games match against Sting, Ricky Steamboat, a healed up Barry Windham, Dustin Rhodes, and Nikita Koloff, who was kind of a wild card at that point. They didn't know if they could trust him or not. And he was, and he ended up, being babyface in that match. And honestly, if you go on Peacock, go to Wrestle War 1992. It's one of the best War Games matches of all time. And it's a fun watch. But
I got to ask a question real quick.
Yes, sir.
I see somebody that resembles Paul Heyman in the middle, but he has way too much hair.
Way too much hair. He also
too much hair.
What is that rather large device in his hand?
He also has a ponytail and a Zach Morris cell phone. Yeah, absolutely. Not unfairly not pictured is Medusa, of course, as well. Yeah. And sadly, it's kind of hard.
Shout out to our girl Medusa.
Yeah. A little unrealistically difficult to find a picture of the full Dangerous Alliance with Medusa in it. But anyway, so that War Games match was amazing. And so looking at the way the setup of that faction is you had, you had a main eventer, you had a couple of up-and-comer singles guys, you had a good tag team, and you had a badass woman in there too. And so so this is my question, we have all agreed that this faction doesn't need to stay as is. There should be more. There should be more development. There's something going on. So thank you, everybody, for sitting in on history class. I really appreciate that. We're going to take history and we're going to inform the future now. We're going to learn our history and we're going to come up with a better lesson. So, if you guys, hey, I mean, you guys give me the label. I got to act like it, I guess. The A and B, if you'll indulge me and our audience, who, and you don't have to abide by the Dangerous Alliance rules. I'm going to try to think of it that way, just because that's what it reminded me of. But, you said Bloodline, AJ, so like whatever you guys think, I'm curious who you would find to be the best picks for that group and why. And let's have some fun.
Ladies
first, or do you want me to go?
Have you already thought about this?
I have.
Well, then go for it, baby.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what, I wouldn't even call this a faction right now. It's two guys and Paul Heyman. Okay, Paul
Fair.
Heyman plays
Two guys and
just
Paul
two guys.
Heyman.
It's it's my two
You're
dads.
ruining
I
this.
don't
Oh
know,
my
it's
gosh.
two dads.
Paul Reiser, the newest.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Oh my gosh.
That's what we're looking at right now. No, I mean you have to have at least a third person in here. I don't. You know how I feel about women in factions. I love a good strong woman. In a faction, I just do. They just fit. They just belong. I felt that way for years. China even played a fantastic part in DX, and she should get her due in the Hall of Fame, flat out. With that said, who do I think should fit in here? Well, that's a tough order if you're thinking about the landscape of who's on the roster. But I'm also thinking of who is not currently on television. Somebody like you said, you mentioned his name. He put Seth on the shelf for about 3 weeks. And there's nothing quite as shocking as becoming frenemies with your enemy. And I think Bronson Reed would fit in quite nicely because you're now under the tutelage of one Mr. Paul Heyman. You've got a strong man like Bronze Breaker, and you have the mind also of Seth freaking Rollins. But like I said, the issue that I have here is we're dealing with a good amount of egos, and these are individuals. And we've always complained about throwing a bunch of people together and just kind of doing whatever. There has to be a motivating factor as to why we're doing it. So I got to think about the overall thought about what is the sole purpose of this group of people. What do we hope to accomplish? What are we trying to do? You were trying to move Sami Zayn out of the way so he doesn't get hurt. Cool. Are you guys going to be a tag team and go after tag team gold? Do you want a third person in here? Do you want that third person to be a man? Do you want them to have tag gold? You go for an individual title? Like, what are we talking about? You know, it's hard to say because I just don't know what the motivation here is. But just based on what I'm seeing thus far, I think Bronson Reed would fit in nicely because people wouldn't expect it. You know, people wouldn't expect it. And to see Bronson Reed and Seth Rollins mend fences for the greater good, I think that could do that group some good.
You're killing me, Larry. With the whole like, you're overthinking this, especially because did we have an explanation as to the Dangerous Alliance other than the fact that Paul wanted to ruin WCW? I mean, Paul and Seth Paul is always about being behind the number one guy. Seth wants to be the number one guy. And Paul thinks that he can make him the next number one guy. Bronson needs something. He needs somebody to take him under his wing. He's not doing it on his own. You might as well be under his Seth's tutelage. You need it. You're new. But if I was going to fantasy book this new Dangerous Alliance, because that's what it is to me, what it could be, which really is almost bigger than a faction. It's almost a stable, right? Because it's so large. But I'd want to stay true to these big Hall of Fame ego dudes. Maybe that's why it only lasted 6 months. But if you could give me 6 months, I could tell you right now, we're not doing anything with a Mr. Shinsuke.
Oh, I thought about that.
Why Mr. Shinsuke can't be a part of this, this Sith alliance. He's already dark. He's already whatever. He seems like he needs, something to do. But as far as the female goes, I mean, we know the mouthpiece that you love just got some gold, Zelina, and you love her heel. And if her and Andrade both went heel and joined this, and they were both a part of the faction, that's a big dude, a big ego who could really go.
Different shows, though.
Right. No, I'm just, I'm talking about fantasy booking. I'm just talking about in that in general. But I was thinking of you more with the Zelina Andrade because I know you want them together. But I know they said Lana is back and she was back there, but they didn't bring her out with Rusev. Let Lana be the mouthpiece for this because Lana can talk on the microphone. Like, I loved her as Rusev's mouthpiece, and I would love for her to come out and be the Medusa of this group. Because they're not, I don't know if she really is back. She really was back there, and she's really, I would like that. But also, I mean, imagine putting Drew in this, dude. Because you're talking about big heavyweights, big egos, future Hall of Famers together who are unstoppable. Drew, Braun, and Seth. I mean, and then you gonna have your young guy, your other young guy who's up and coming with the charisma. You know, I'm gonna throw Austin
Shawn
in
Michaels?
there.
Oh.
Because you know I love me some Austin Theory.
Oh, I thought you were about Stone Cold. Oh, hell yeah.
Right. So Austin Theory could be their stunning.
Austin Theory
Austin.
is a lahu, is a her.
I think
get off the Theory train.
I've got your back
So
on this one, B, about Austin.
Shinsuke, Austin, and Drew, because it was 5 dudes deep, right? And then the female would be Lana.
I respect I respect the differing places you're both coming from on there, because A's already bringing in a hot character, but it also creates an interesting story because logically you're like, he's not going to fit with those guys, and it gives the opportunity for them to do something. But B, my heart really loves your picks, because not only are you picking people have kind of forgotten about, but also you giving them a change of scenery that could give them a revitalization. So I think I might land a little somewhere in the middle with you guys, probably leaning more towards Becky's philosophy than AJ's though. So I'll share without doing too much booking, but I'm lying.
That's what we're doing.
I'm sure I'll give. Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure I'm going to give the whole explanation here. So we've already got Rude.
AJ can't win. Parker Lewis can't win. What is going on over
Parker
here?
Lewis can't win. His coolness. Oh my gosh, man, that was a deep cut, dude. Deep.
Cut. Parker Lewis can't lose. Yep.
USA Network, baby, in the early days, back when Raw was still in the Manhattan Center. All right, so we've got Heyman and Rollins and Breaker. So I want to go. I want to bring a full-on tag team into this group, like Dangerously did. So I think it makes me sad. It's going to require a little deconstruction of another faction, but I see 2 dudes saying, "You have been playing around with your toy lucha mask and picking fights with luchadors for too long. We're dropping our Joe Dirt gimmick. We're buying some suits, and we put the Creed brothers with Heyman and Rollins and Breaker.
Wow.
Let them wrestle." Because the funny thing is that and I'm not angry about their presentation now. I have fun. They clearly are trying to have fun with what they're doing, and that's fine. But they don't wrestle like they act. You know what I mean? When the bell rings, they can look like monsters. So I would want them to look like monsters when they go in there. Absolutely. And I don't know, is it Julius? Is he the taller one? Like, that dude is straight up nasty.
No,
or is it Brutus?
Oh yeah. I think Julius is the taller one, and Brutus.
Yeah, I think Julius is the taller one.
Yeah. I don't know. It took me 6 weeks to learn which one was Hank and which one was Tank, but I would learn, about there. So it's all good. So for the next up and comer, so like I'm sitting here and I'm trying to like do one for one. I have Seth Rollins as the Rick Rude of it, and I have Braun Breaker as the Steve Austin of it. But the next singles guy, I don't know what direction I would go, but I'll say this: there's two diverging paths here, because one, when you have, God bless Bobby Eaton, maybe one of the most underrated performers of his entire generation, but somebody in that group has got to take the pin. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yes.
And so on the one hand,
Austin could come in.
that's where Austin comes in. So I'm sitting here thinking, do I want to take the Dangerous Alliance route of putting somebody in who's going to take the pin, or do I want to put go the evolution route of adding another young up and comer. So these are two different options for me. If I want somebody who's going to eat pinfalls, who could also use a little career revitalization, I think the Judgment Day finally kicks out Finn Balor and Paul Heyman scoops him up.
From one faction to another, huh?
Yeah, well, not like immediately, not like in one fell swoop. I mean, like he gets beat down or whatever and gets left behind, and then maybe a week or two passes and he comes up, you know. But if you want to really bring somebody up, it would require a little you know, brand what did they call it? Brand split ignorance, which they're not afraid of, clearly.
Right. What's a brand split? What's that?
Yeah, who's that? What is that? I don't
Who's
know.
That? What?
I predict on Friday that these first two people, are not my pick, but I predict on Friday Aleister Black is going to kick the Miz's head off. So that should free up Carmelo Hayes to do whatever he wants, and I would bring Carmelo Hayes into that group.
That they wanted Carmelo Hayes in there.
I just want I want Carmelo Hayes to have a similar experience to Braun Breaker. Now I know talked about him being a loser in the literal sense of having lost a title, but he and Gunther, and Gunther wouldn't be a bad option either, to be honest. But
oh gosh,
especially with what he's doing now, just choking out announcers and stuff.
Right.
But Mello, so like, you know, Hayes, not Mello, Braun. Losing that title was going to be a good thing for him because it frees him up to move to that next level. And I think Mello needs something to give him a free pathway to move to that next level. And then last but not least, for a woman, I wanted to pick somebody who I thought would be able to go in the ring if it was necessary, but also could provide some legitimacy, because that was a thing about Medusa even in the 90s, like back when all we had was like the Wendy Richters and the Rockin' Robins and the Sherry Martells. Respect to all of them, she was a woman who could go, you know, in the ring if she needed to. And I think it's an easy point A to point B suggestion to think Becky Lynch in that role, but that's not what I want.
Right.
I would rather bring someone else in there who would ruffle the feathers of Becky Lynch by being in a group with her husband. And I would put Bayley in there.
Oh,
I would
imagine.
I would take all the stuff that she said to Chris Van Vliet. I would take all the stuff she said to Chris Van Vliet when she already knew she was pulled from the WrestleMania card and we didn't know it yet. All that is fuel to be like, okay, I've been much like what Karrion Kross said earlier of we know we see how good soldiers get treated. Well, I'm done being a good soldier. Like I'm with a group that's going to take what they want, and I'm going to help these boys get what they want. And when when I want to take something, they're going to help me take what I want too. And she doesn't have to go full Naomi. But she can at least just drop being passive. You know what I mean?
Right.
And doing that. And I would just want that for her because I did, man. Once I saw the Becky Lynch stuff play out the past couple of weeks, and then I know dirt sheets are dirt sheets, so we don't really know what's true, but like hearing that she was only coming back if the creative was right for her, and seeing that's what we saw, I'm like, really? I hope this ends with Bayley coming back and having a piece of Becky Lynch later on. And there's still time for that. Obviously, you know, they could totally do that and it could still work out. But right now,
they haven't given us a lot of faith in the last couple of years that they've been doing those turnarounds, which is why I say I want Lana back, because I need to see Lana get revenge on Nia. It's like I need to see that in my lifetime. Yeah, for sure. So I mean, like, I think there's a lot of opportunity here to bring up guys. And that's what I think that's one of the things that I'm excited about it is that this very much seeing that it's Seth and it's Braun Breaker so far definitely makes me feel like that Mr. Levesque is listening to Paul Heyman's suggestions if he's got any. Yeah. And so I'm just trying to think like if Heyman could actually like choose a few more people, I'd be very interested to see who he has in mind. And I think I hope they're listening to him
in that regard. I think it could be a lot of fun. So those are my picks: the Creed brothers, Bailey, and we'll call it Mello instead of Finn. But yeah, I think that could be a lot of fun.
So now you got to pick some more people because you only picked one guy.
Well, here's the thing. I like Bailey. I think that's a good choice.
Yeah. Where you at, CJ LaChapelle?
But I was thinking about this as you were talking. We have another faction that's been on the shelf for quite some time, and that'd be the Wyatt Six.
Mm-hmm.
Where are they?
And we know what the Wyatt Six is about.
Yeah.
If they did get some more people in with Seth and company, that's something that I'd also want to see, because the thing about these factions, these heel factions, is that they're like a pack of wild dogs. They're supposed to be going in, and circling the ring and beating people that you're supposed to be. That's what this is. This is what I'm expecting.
Mm-hmm.
And the Wyatt Six, they're kind of the anti that. You know what I mean? And I would love this to be a great time if we're going to start building it up, if we're really going to do it.
Yeah, because then they're beating down everybody, and then all of a sudden the Wyatt Six comes out to, woo, that would be great.
I would not.
Yeah, it'd be a lot of fun. You know what also really got my attention on Monday was there was a vignette, a video package of somebody saying, "I'm here to destroy people who have taken their opportunities and squandered them." Or have not lived up to their potential. Rusev wouldn't be the worst addition to that group either.
Yeah, I was
coming right back
too.
in. After you mentioned Lana.
Yeah, he just came back. I don't know why not.
It's a good it's a good philosophy. I'm excited for the philosophy he has coming back if they really let him work that out, because I really do love because I love the Wyatt Six existence as well. And it's so mysterious too. Like, as I just hear that, like, just one of them is injured and like none of them are on TV. Like, it's so
right. I don't trying to understand.
Yeah, either you guys are real family, or there's something's
being fumbled somewhere.
Happening. Yeah,
but I gotta say this though. I have concern. I've made no bones about this. Y'all know I love a good faction. But they seem to be breaking up factions. Like we couldn't watch NXT. We heard it, and it sounded like they broke up Metaphor.
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken. So
they were nice about it. At least there wasn't a heel turn involved. But yeah, it was more like a graduation than a thing.
I feel a type of way about that. I don't know why factions always gotta be broken up.
Even the Rhea and Damian thing. Like, people loved that, and you broke it up 2 days later.
Well, that's also
they broke it up right after they made merch.
Right.
Yeah.
See that.
What
are we doing? What are we doing?
Weird.
And so I think about that because you had Karrion Kross with the final testicle, final testament.
I swear.
And that broke up. I'm wary. I'm leery of these new factions coming into play if that's what they're planning on doing. And what the end all be all is, and to see it just implode. I like seeing like a tag team. I like seeing things just kind of ride out and just be a unit, not suck my, you know what I mean? Like, just be a unit and ride it out as such. And I don't see that happening with them.
Yeah, don't be.
I would like a good long run.
Baby 87 gave her faction, if you want to check that out in a moment.
Let me jump that up. While I'm saying, I see that you said Baby Reed. Okay, we're gonna share Baby Reed 87's group here. Finn Balor, Karrion Kross, Scarlett, Carmelo Hayes, Austin Theory, and Jordan Grace. Man, that is a casserole of talent if I've ever seen one. Like, there's so many varied flavors in that. That's like sorry, all my metaphors are food based at Marked by Wrestling. So they're like this is a 7-layer dip of a faction right here, man. Like, it's which is cool because
you the cherry on top.
Yeah, or seriously, you've got so much going on there. Like, you took that faction to Yogurt Land and you got every topping on it, man. Like, it's you got a little bit of everything in there. I like it because sometimes we overlook the diversity of a group and that, making it better. And I will say this about WWE a lot is that they seem to take two methods of breaking up factions. You can take, I saw people talking about, the KFC or the Pure Fusion Collective, just splitting them up or letting them dissolve, or the Final Testament. But on the other hand, you have your Evolution, you have your Shield, where they only start to break up because they've identified the first person they're going to strap the rocket to, and go up from. And so honestly, it looks like they do because then they also broke up the Hurt Syndicate and didn't do, Hurt Business.
Right.
I know what you meant. Yep.
The Hurt Syndicate is doing great business. Thank God something in AEW is. And but the Hurt Business broken up with no follow-up, Yeah. The Bloodline has elevated Jey Uso, has elevated Jacob Fatu, has elevated, so like, if you can make Evolution, Batista and Randy Orton, so it's almost like you can tell how much attention they're giving to a group if they plan on picking someone and doing something with them. And I do agree, there's a lot of cases where they're breaking people up. Like, I don't know how NXT is viewing their group, but it's clear that they had something, they see something special in regards to metaphor with Lash and Jakara. So hopefully there's good things ahead for those ladies, because they deserve it.
I didn't know metaphor was still a thing, to be honest with you.
Right, because Noam Dar was gone for so long.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He showed up last week, and then they break up tonight.
I think that we should start having a regular segment, a small little funeral service for the factions that break up. We could have a little gravestone and have a little moment of silence, a little ding.
I've been saying that they should have graduation ceremonies for Chase U. Like, just break people up on purpose and have a graduation ceremony and move them on to something else.
Absolutely.
And now that Chase U is back, I hope they actually do something like that. That'll be fun. I just got to highlight Mato real quick, because this popped me.
Mato.
The Seth Riders.
The Seth Riders. That's not bad.
That's not bad.
They're already more entertaining. So yeah,
that's
love
not
that.
Bad at all. I like that.
So I do think that with a group that has Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker, they're already planning themselves on, they're going to do something with these people. But they do have a history of not doing that right with everybody else. And I hate to see it when I look at groups like American Made, and I do see El Grande Americano and Chad Gable at two different people, both giving everything in the ring every single week. Each one of those two different men, gets an opportunity to perform, and the Creed brothers, and then like Ivy last night, man, just straight out went for it. And she's having solid performances every time she gets to get in the ring too. Like, I don't, you can just see the passion going, working when they're actually working matches, and you just want, like, okay, not everybody can have Bloodline TV time. I get it. That's okay. Yeah. We have A stories and B stories and stuff, but that doesn't mean that B stories can't be treated with respect, or that C stories can't be treated with respect. Maybe the only thing he did right in his time as a wrestling writer, Vince Russo, made sure everybody had a story. It didn't matter how important they were to the product. Even if it was Val Venus feuding with Kai and Tai, which I will not repeat the details of on this recording, but there was a story. I mean, there was a story. It wasn't just throw them in the ring and get to the next segment. So I give him credit for at least making sure everybody had something to work with and react to. And hopefully we can get that with factions, and hopefully we can get maybe just a few more breadcrumbs of an explanation with this group that we're looking at now.
That's why I was also thinking Drew, because the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Who are Drew's biggest enemies? Roman Reigns, the Bloodline, and CM Punk.
He's got a lot of them.
Yeah,
so
you're absolutely right.
Sense, even though him and Seth have had their moments, to go ahead and team up in this way.
Yeah.
And I mean, talk about, those three, gosh, he's just so dominant. And honestly, if you don't want to go that route, where's Sheamus?
Where is He's doing workouts and asking people about cheat meals.
Yeah, I don't know about Sheamus because he had the Brawling Brutes, and look what they did with them.
But they weren't heel. I love to heel Sheamus. He was so. It's kind of hard for him to go heel now because people love Sheamus. Nobody could go heel.
He was the leader of that group, though, and if he was just the muscle of another group, maybe that would be different. But to B's point, though, I think it was last year some people had said that you know, the Roman Reigns Player Haters Club would have been a fantastic faction of Seth, Drew, and Kevin Owens at the time before he had to get surgery. But like all three of those guys were top tier on-screen performers and all had that in common, but they never really matched them up a whole lot. So yeah, I'd be curious to see what they could do with some of these guys.
It does make me wonder because I said Bronson Reed, even though him and Seth got into a thing. You mentioned Great White, but he had an issue with Bronze Breaker. He called him an old man, like he disrespected him up and down, down.
That's right.
And he just could not. I don't know if his ego could take it. He just could not best him to get that title. I don't know if that. I don't know. I don't know if that would work.
You know, for some reason, I just have my mind set on Bronson Reed going back with Jacob because I feel like if he came out, if Bronson Reed stands behind Jacob, what in the world? Like there would be no.
Oh no!
Talk about an enforcer standing behind an enforcer. Oh
dominant.
My gosh!
I was about to say, could you imagine, Tongaloa healing up and then both Tongans backing Solo and trying to jump Jacob, and then Bronson Reed shows up to back Jacob?
Bronson Reed,
woo! Take my money.
Back on the shelf. Back on the shelf, Tongaloa. Back on the shelf, Tamatonga. Yeah. Whoa. That's what you're gonna be saying.
Yeah. We turn into whoa real quick. 100%.
That's what I'm talking about.
Oh my gosh, that'd be so much fun.
Yep. I wouldn't be mad at it. I mean, I it has possibilities, but again, I realize, but like you said, with the Dangerous Alliance, and you're talking about, motivation, there was a motivation. We had a reason, to some degree, even though things were fleshed out with the Alliance back in the day. I need something. You got to give me something to chew on. I'm at a point right now where I cannot afford to have a group of people together with no explanation, just randomly, because we also complained about that with the women's gauntlet. Like you just threw women together just cause, just to make it through a gauntlet match. Like you got to do me a little better than that.
Yeah. I want to show T-Man some love here real quick. Giving us a window into Paul Heyman's interview process. Paul Heyman, a Braun Breaker before adding him to the faction. So what kind of bronzer do you use?
I mean, these are the questions that really need to be answered.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
Seriously, dude. We would see these people coming out. You see the palm of their hand. I'm like, you couldn't wear rubber gloves before you did this. You didn't have somebody back there to rub you down. Like, what are we doing?
What are we doing?
Who greenlit this?
All of a sudden, Zack Ryder era Matt Cardona joins the group.
Woo! We'll see now. Chelsea Green will be happy about that.
Hey,
all day.
Yeah. Now I will say this, and just because the nostalgia in me wants to show the photo again. They built. Well, I wouldn't say they built this faction, but the way that they did build this faction, all of these guys had built-in feuds already. So there was already a babyface team ready to rock and roll against this group. And that's something I will say, that's something that like the old school fan in me misses, is like this, seeing, going from this to this. I mean, I know it's just an NSYNC pun incoming. It's going to be May, in a few days. But if we can tease this thing along till War Games, and we could get a well-earned War Games match between, a group of, it doesn't have to be 5 or 6 guys, but like you could still do something there. I think it would be a lot of fun.
I agree.
It's it's got, it leaves room for possibility. We talked about this on the podcast, which I believe that dropped today, if I'm not mistaken.
It might have dropped a little later because he had emailed us asking us the name of the show, and I didn't see it until the afternoon. But
so
it
maybe
should have
tomorrow.
dropped. Yeah.
But no, it at least we talked about it a little bit on the podcast. Actually, I just lost my train of thought. What I was going to say.
While you're thinking about that, I'll answer a question. Justin Hallencrane was asking, "Is that Chad Gable's dad beside Dustin?" Actually, just bringing this back up, that is Bray Wyatt's uncle.
Oh yeah, Wyndham.
Barry Wyndham.
Yeah,
Bray Wyatt's uncle. So
there's a resemblance there. I can see it.
Yeah.
A younger him. Yeah, you can see
which
it.
is why Bray was named Wyndham. Was named after him.
Right.
And that is your history lesson for this evening.
Yeah, you can you can see that.
Also, Justin said, "How about Bronson Reed and Obafemi as a tag team?" My goodness, I don't know the ring.
Goodness.
You'd have to reinforce the ring.
But
yeah, geez.
Like I can see the question here by Rick RT. We talked about this a little bit too. Hopefully I can find my previous question, but this goes to the good guys. We've got this faction right now. It seems like we're in a heeldom world right now, and there doesn't seem to be any decent people to go against them. And so if you're going to be formulating this group of people, and maybe that's not, maybe it's just how it seems. I don't know. It just seems the way they're presenting it, we're getting a lot of heel turns going on right now, and some faces who just aren't. Let's go with it. There's nobody who's at a Cena level right now. Orton might be the closest with regards to that, but I'm not even going to say Cody Rhodes because I don't have no idea what's going on with Cody Rhodes right now. Nobody. I don't see any. Okay, let me say it this way: if Kevin Owens had not been injured and they did face each other at WrestleMania, he would have caught a couple of stunners. I don't see that crowd saying one more time to Orton. Do you feel what I'm saying? I don't see it, but yet they're saying it with a Cody Rhodes. They're saying it with they're saying it with other people at the most oddest of times, and it doesn't really make any sense. So if you're going to formulate this group of people, we always say it's a numbers game. We saw what happened to Sami Zayn. He needs some friends. Jey Uso did not come out there to lend the assist. So,
but Jey was choked out though, wasn't he?
Jey was
he was knocked out.
Yeah, he was knocked out. He was knocked out. Technically speaking, he was knocked out
with the women's
with the women's right. So what I'm basically getting at, it is what it is. So what I'm basically getting at here is, aside from the Wyatt Six, who, and if we don't even know when they're going to be back on the scene, who then would be the ones that go against this group of people, especially if they're going to be bringing in more people?
You're going to have to actually add some dominant people to the Judgment Day.
So you're turning the Judgment Day fully face then?
They are fully. They're not heel. Dom pops. Dom gets pops. Everyone's for Liv and Raquel. No, they're not a true heel anymore.
I think it was over for Dom once he ran back to the ring and celebrated with the title, which I don't.
Man,
I don't.
Did it air?
Oh yeah, it did.
Yeah,
it was emotional too.
Just said it.
Because I'm sitting there thinking, the moment I saw that, I'm sitting there thinking, dude, I know Ray is backstage and he is going to have to hide from every single camera not to be weeping to hug his son after that, because I know there's so much pride in everything Dom. He's earned so much respect, and like I think Dom he's not like a Cody kind of babyface, but I think he might still. he's trying to be a heel, but I think he has had, this is going to be hyperbolic. I'm sorry everybody, but I can't think of anything else to compare it to. But this is almost going to be like Austin standing up after he broke his neck. Like he's like, I think he has crossed a threshold of respect with people now that they're not going to be able to find it in themselves to hate him the way they used to now. Especially when
absolutely.
especially when we have people like Logan Paul who people really do hate, you know?
Yes.
And so, yeah, I think they're going to have to get creative with their baby faces, which upsets me in like the Cody area, because I honestly think Cody still has a ton of babyface equity to use with the crowd, but they keep putting him in situations that 87 Hulk Hogan couldn't get a babyface pop out of. Like, and that's another rant for another Dwayne, but whatever.
Another Dwayne.
So I think it can be done. And you have Punk and Roman, who are frenemies in their own way, that are going to be, they're going to force to have to lethal weapon that thing. I think those two guys, or rush hour that thing for those of you who are of a younger generation. But I think they'll be uneasy. I'm kind of looking forward to an uneasy alliance with those two, because just that camera that was in the cage during War Games last year, when they kept like getting on each other's nerves while they were sitting, I'm like, I would watch this show. I would watch this show every week.
Right.
So I think they'll be a centerpiece of that. But yeah, no, it's going to have to be, it's going to have to be a good matchup for sure. And there is a shortage of baby faces. Like, if right now you could probably get 3 or 4, but then it would be taking them away from everything else. Cause I think you've got some strong baby faces on SmackDown too, but like, I don't think you're going to take LA Knight off of SmackDown and throw him in the middle of this,
No.
Like,
and it wouldn't make sense.
No.
Right, exactly. It wouldn't make sense. But like, you're going to need somebody, you're going to have to build somebody up to his caliber for it to be a believable threat. But I don't know.
Yeah, and you built Breaker up to be, like you said, to be such a monster. And that's why I'm very much looking forward to, look, if we had a healthy Ilya back, whatever you want to call Ilya could take it to him. I know he was put in positions to put some of these other people over, but the way that I expect to see Ilya come back is a man on a mission. I expect this Dragon to come back in here and just ruin things, because he's a small dude, but it's literally the clumps. You walking over, but you limping back.
Yeah, no,
he is no tough. Easy win.
But I gotta say, so is JD. They haven't really let JD show how tough he is since he's been in the Judgment Day. But the final match he had with Ilya on his way out was brutal. Brutal.
I really hope that everyone that I'm seeing, like everybody, is excited to have Ilya back, as what I'm reading. Every single person like anticipating having him back. Like, I see people all the time being like, "When's he coming back? When's he coming back?" You know, and I really hope that translates well when he does come back. And I do think they actually have a real opportunity to do something fresh with JD after the truth came out about those injuries he sustained in that match, and how he still gutted it out. Like, I think there's still time to do that. The fact that he showed up and helped Dom win, putting him more on Dom's side, not really knowing that Finn is at odds with everybody right now, I think does do JD a favor. It doesn't push him down the rungs. At least it keeps him in the same spot, or maybe nudges him up a little bit. So hopefully there's time for that. We'll see what happens.
Oh, I know who I would like to see in this group of people, female wise. We talked about her a little bit. I couldn't remember her name, and now I'm going to say it. Kiana James. You've done nothing with her on the main roster when she got up there. You botched her from literally minute one. She was a straight up heel over there in NXT. She needs to come back in here just exactly like that. Drop somebody, because they did it with Izzy Dame on NXT. You know what I'm talking about. I'm absolutely here for it. I think Kiana James will be a fantastic addition to that group of people.
To be fair, didn't she tear an ACL like pretty quick or something like that? Yeah, because she had a legit injury for a while. But they weren't using her. They weren't using her before that though either. So I mean,
no, I'm talking about like
stands.
Yeah, like it didn't make any sense what she was trying, like the promos and whatever it is that they were trying to do with her. It didn't make any sense. It was the exact opposite of who she was in NXT, and that's one of the things that just grinds my gears all the time when you have something that you see on NXT and you're like, I like this, and then you bring them onto the main roster, and you're like, the very thing that we liked about you, we don't want you to do that.
Right.
We don't want you to be what you were. We don't really know what we're gonna do with you. Then why did you bring me over here? Seriously, leave me back where I was and let me cook and do my thing. But seriously, if you're gonna have me over here, man, and this is what you liked about me, then let me do my take the cuffs off of me.
I'm a peacock. You gotta let me fly.
What she said.
Yeah. I mean, it's like bringing somebody up to a high level restaurant because they're a great steak cooker. You know, like you cook the best steaks in the city. Okay, you're on chicken. That ain't the same deal.
Nope.
Right.
You're giving them a different. You're expecting a different skill set from them. You know. But anyway, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, I feel like we're just getting started. Hopefully, they take enough time to flesh things out. I'll tell you what. We can, because I know a lot of this chat has been hanging with me all night. Thank you guys for sticking around, by the way, through NXT. And so we'll just give everybody one more wrap up and go from there. And then we'll start with you. You can just say whatever you want to say. We are a family show here, but you know what I mean. Like, so anything you want to
family.
Get off your chest that hadn't had a chance to, or some final thoughts, Jerry Springer style.
As long as it's not about The Rock.
Well, The Rock.
Oh no, no. We'll have to meet up same time next week to talk about The Rock again if we want. Who's hell bent on ruining Cody's career? But whatever, we can talk about that later.
Yeah, we can get into all that. Apparently, I can't. I'm being
I'll say
prohibited.
I'll say one thing about The Rock. His trailer for his biopic about Mark Kerr, the UFC fighter, dropped today.
Yeah.
And y'all need to say some prayers, do the training, and take the vitamins if that movie doesn't perform well in October, because that means all the PLEs are going to be thrown in the trash, because that man shows up if he don't start making box office. So everybody go see the movies.
Hey, Just Alex.
Just Alex, what's up, dude?
Just Alex.
Thanks for joining us, brother.
Oh, Just Alex. So even though we were kind of wrapping up, we were fantasy booking who we would want to see in this new Dangerous Alliance faction. So if you were going to book a few more guys to join in with Braun and Seth and Paul. Now, I like the idea of Shinsuke. I like the idea of Austin Theory, because I love me some Austin Theory. I liked Lana being the Medusa. But I also like the idea of Andrade and Drew. I'm good with all of these different people trying to, figure their way in here. And then you had Bronson, right?
Bronson Reed and Kiana James.
And then who did you have?
I had
Steven,
I had the Creed brothers, Carmelo Hayes, and Bailey.
Yeah. So Alex, who would you book for if you were gonna complete this new Dangerous Alliance type faction that we have with Seth and Braun and Paul? Who you go ahead and fill it up and tell us who you want.
Okay, Sophie, do not encourage his Austin Theory business. He is trash. He is no John Cena.
Rigger D throwing a shout out for Drew and Rusev and Lana. I think that's a clean group right there. I think that could actually do some stuff.
Oh, Bronson too. Yeah, Bronson, Drew, Rusev. That's crazy.
I missed Bronson. Sorry.
That's crazy.
All right, Alex. Justin, I see yours too. We'll highlight yours too. He says Rusev, Bronson Reed, Drew McIntyre, Becky Lynch. I actually hadn't seen anybody say Becky. I know I referred to it when I mentioned Bailey, but I mean, listen, she would slide right in easily. I mean, so that's a good good group.
Oh wait,
almost
wanted to jack enough on that one.
She would be a fitting addition to the group. Let's see who else we got. We got a few others here. Let's see. Justin Allen Crane also says the Street Profits, Ethan Page and Tessa Blanchard. Well, that would solve the heel. That would solve the heel heat problem. I'll tell you that right now. That would
solve the heel all the way.
That would be many a booze going on for Tessa.
I actually thought about All Ego Ethan as well coming up. I actually did think about that, about him coming up, All Ethan. The Street Profits at this point, I don't know, just leave them. Just leave them where they are.
Ethan Page could fit that bill, though. Like, he's got kind of the right attitude. and he could be, he could benefit in that sort of early Randy Orton, mold him, bring him along kind of thing. I think that could work well. Sophie Dophie, what do you got to say? Penta, Carlito, Pete Dunne, R-Truth, and Bailey. That just sounds like a backstage segment.
It does. But if Penta put on a suit and came out there and joined, we would be pretty blown away. Yeah. We would not expect him to go heel.
If Penta struts out to the ring in a suit, I couldn't boo him. I can't that little smooth operator.
Cross the Kid and Rhea and Black. First of all, Vakir don't need to be in nothing. She's so fire by herself. But I will say I'm not mad at the Cross thing, but I don't know what they're doing with Cross and AJ Styles. Although they could put Cross in there and AJ Styles could be their next target as a faction.
I don't mind this grouping. I don't like it for Heyman's faction, but I like this grouping of people. I'll say that.
There you go.
Yeah, Tessa would be great for heel heat, just Alex. Absolutely.
That's absolutely true.
Yeah. Yeah. We would solve the one more time problem. I tell you that right away.
Scarlett works as the Medusa. He also says Scarlett works as the Medusa.
For sure. Except for, she can't go like Medusa, but as far as taking that role with talking and being that presence,
I'm just holding out hope. Holding out hope that they're going to do something with Karrion Kross right now. Like, I'm just like, I know you guys have to be seeing it because clearly Triple H is chronically online and has been lying to us about some of the things he says when he complains about criticisms. And I'm like, dude, you're on Twitter more than I am, bro. Like, go touch grass, Paul. Come on, man. So he's got to know that equity with the fans that Cross is building up right now. So and he seemed, back when Hunter was running NXT, he seemed to be a Cross guy. So I hope there's something for him. He doesn't have to be, Goldberg with tattoos. He's just, but like, I don't know. He's working so hard. He's working so hard. That's all.
Let me tell you, in my opinion, where they're going wrong with Karrion Kross.
Okay.
He had to pull himself out of the ditch that McMahon put him in. And it was a deep ditch. It was like a 300. You'll find plenty of that down there, Persian. It's a deep ditch that McMahon put him in, and he's crawled out. And this past week, I'm like, you know what? I think you're finally just about there. But even if Scarlett's not going to wrestle, even if there's really no intention, we tried it out. It's just not your forte. If that's not your thing, cool. I really feel like I want to see, and I'm not talking about outfit. I'm just talking about like the way he wrestles in the ring and kind of commands what's going on in the ring. Old school Undertaker. Remember old school Undertaker when he came?
How old school? Like gray gloves, Undertaker,
like
80s,
gray
90s
gloves,
or 2000.
Like Survivor Series,
wide tie Undertaker.
That's the Undertaker I'm talking about.
Hey, we have very that tie stoic, right
there. Very stoic, very commanding. Just somebody that you're taking very seriously. Like, you know what? Win, lose, or draw, no matter what happens in this match, I'm not leaving this match the same. That's how your opponents need to look at you. You need to look at this guy like you need to be feared. Yeah. And if I were somebody, and I'm just going under the kayfabe umbrella, I don't fear Karrion Kross. He's kind of skulking around and he's doing whatever he's doing, which is totally fine. But when you get into the ring, man, you got to hurt people. Yeah. You got to put people in the dirt. You really got to command. Because I saw that video where he's trying to break a bat. Did you see this?
Oh yeah, he has done that.
Trying to break a bat,
dude. Yeah, like an actual baseball bat.
Oh, okay.
He had put a baseball bat like in a Kimura lock or something like that, and was able to snap it in half. Like, that dude is legit tough.
He's legit tough, and I do not get that from him.
Well, I'm starting to see it more in his backstage segments, but it does have to translate to the ring. Like,
it has to.
His post WrestleMania attitude has definitely garnered him some attention, and so he needs to do something like put him in there with AJ or whatever. But as of right now, he's just got the residue of being the fourth member of Demolition, Axe, Smash, Crush, and Cross, from when he was dressed like a 2021 member of Demolition, which does not age well.
And it went nowhere. It went nowhere. And I'm telling you, Scarlett, she, to me, again, I would much prefer her be like John Moxley's Heavy. I would much prefer her to be like DX's Heavy. Like, she can do it. She doesn't get involved in the way that she should be getting involved. She's not supporting her man. You can do what you got to do backstage, but I just do not feel that he's doing great. And I'm like, we're getting there, and we're just not quite getting there in the ring. And I don't know, because he's just not getting him in the ring and getting him into matches. And I think if he just made that little bit of a switch, then I could really take him more seriously as a killer, as a stone cold killer. And that's what I've also said about somebody that has an MMA background. If you have a legitimate MMA background, like a Sonya Deville, we've seen him in here, like a Shayna Baszler.
Mm-hmm.
I expect you to, when I watch a UFC match, and I see these two people, male or female, about to get into it, I know it's about to go down. It's about to go down. It's going to be a series of hammer fists, and it's going to be a bloody cauliflower-eared mess. Okay, it's somebody that you're about to take seriously. I've never felt that way about Shayna Baszler. I do not feel like they're utilizing it in a way to command it. I felt more like that when she was doing that the show that she was on with Ronda Rousey. What was the name of that show? The UFC show,
Ultimate Fighter.
Ultimate Fighter. I felt more like that
I was like,
during then than I have here in.
Do you mean ever with Shayna? Because I thought her NXT run, they were doing that actually with Cross and Shayna. I thought their NXT presentations were.
And I was about to say,
I don't know how much killer you can get.
And this is exactly my point. And I cannot stress this enough. NXT. I say NXT Shayna, NXT Karrion Kross, NXT Bianca Belair, NXT Raquel Gonzalez. I do not understand why in the here and now. I'm not talking about the McMahon. I'm talking about in the here and now. You have these things. This is exactly what I like about you in NXT. Let's take this over here and put you on the main roster. Then all of a sudden, that fire, that everything that we just saw and loved, the Xia Li's, like it just dies down. Xia Li was in a faction with Boa. It was bomb.
And if you brought the whole faction up, that would not have failed.
It would have hit.
Mm-hmm.
And you just didn't do it. And it frustrates me, because as somebody that likes these characters, as somebody that likes to see story development, and I'm like, you're killing me with not letting these peacocks fly and do the very things that thine eyes have seen them do.
Right.
I think there's a little of column A, a little column B in there. I wish I could remember which talent it was, but it was somebody who came up from NXT. It might have been Kevin Owens, honestly. But just talking about the transition of living in Orlando, and kind of like NXT is like I would say it's like a 9-to-5 job, but you don't have to worry about the rigors of travel and the self-discipline it takes to stay in shape, how much personal ambition is involved in making sure you get over. That I'm not saying you're coddled in NXT, but it's just not a factor. It's just not something you have to worry about at that point. And he was just talking about how much of a transition that is, and how hard it is, and how I don't know if it was KO, it might have been somebody else, but they were saying too, like, they notice when you're resting on your laurels when you come up there. And I'm not trying to necessarily blame the talent, but I wonder how much of that comes into play in trying to get used to a new land, so to speak, a new landscape and stuff. And so I imagine sometimes that might be the case with some of them, but still the fact that some of these gimmicks, because like, and I've said this many a time when we're watching NXT, like, Chase U, don't ever put that on the main roster. Tony D'Angelo's family, don't ever put that on the NXT. There's some gimmicks that are perfect for NXT that need to
Yes.
stay on NXT.
Yes, I get you.
And so some of these people do need a gimmick change when they come up, but Shayna never needed one. And honestly, she didn't at first. Like, she bit a chunk out of the back of Becky's neck when she first showed up.
Right,
Like,
right.
what the heck was that? And like,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
Bianca, actually, I mean, I love what Bianca has taken everything they've given her and done something amazing with it. So
Yeah.
that tells me that, and she has more than earned her spot. Like, she's top level now, and I don't think she's coming down unless she does anything, as long as she doesn't do anything stupid, which I don't think she will. She'll be fine. But yeah, no, I mean, Cross, same time, I don't know. So it is what it is, and I think you're right about that. I don't know, if they're planning on circling back around, and I feel worse for the women too, because there's such an influx of top level talent, and there's just more coming. Like, I wouldn't be surprised, and this might be a little bit of a hot take, but I wouldn't be surprised if Charlotte's days are numbered, if Becky's days are numbered, if the horsewomen's days are numbered, just because how crowded the scene's going to be. And that's not a slam on those ladies. It's just,
but that might be why
there's
the
a lot
horsewomen
more.
should actually form the horsewomen, because
Hey.
if they could put that aside and you could get back, Becky and Charlotte, if you could get them, I mean, I have heard that they made up. I mean, finally, whether or not they'd want to be in a fashion,
Just
I don't know.
Just don't ask them to hand each other any belts.
Well, that's right.
No, after that.
Yeah. Oh, my
Did
bad.
you hear that pop that Stephanie got on Raw? Did you hear that pop?
Dude,
by
I think
that
they're ready to
crowd?
move her up fast. I wouldn't. I
Dude.
mean, I wouldn't be surprised if by after SummerSlam she's up there.
That should put every woman on the Raw locker room on notice. Like, look, step your game up, ladies. Step your game up. All this woman did is walk out. She didn't do it. All she did was this.
She doesn't have to say anything. The way she carries herself, her confidence, it just speaks volumes without saying a word.
Precisely. And
You don't feel like she's put on an act.
Nope.
You feel like
gonna-
this is who she believes she is.
Take this and share it with the whole class. Just Alex, Stephanie Vaquera, Lola Vice, and Jada Parker are going to run this company. Woo!
Woohoo!
Yeah. And I mean, and many more. But my goodness, when I'm looking forward to the day, whether it's Raw or SmackDown, they put a mic in Jada's hand for the first time, because it's going to be on site for whoever they have her matched up against.
I'm ready
for
for
sure.
it.
Yeah,
I'm
sure.
for it, man.
I wouldn't be surprised if before the end of the year. I'm curious about that. That's probably another talk for another time, how much they kind of ration out the women, on the way up, because some of those ladies haven't even sniffed an NXT title and they're already ready for the main roster.
Right, right.
Because I'd like to see Jada Parker at least get a title before she goes up. She's more than earned it, just got hot she got hot in the middle of the ladies' attitude era, basically.
That'd be nice.
I mean, it's crazy.
So I would say in closing, for my money with regards to this particular faction or whatever this group of people is, I wouldn't mind seeing at least one more person come in here. 2 would be great if it was a female, but ultimately, what are we doing? What are we doing? Are we going to be honing in on a particular person? Is this going to be a Sami Zayn thing now?
No.
What I'm saying is, well, so I'm hoping, I'm hoping that they're gonna, like, I don't know, kind of move them around, like get some competition. But like, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, what are we talking about? Is this going to be Seth and Braun for a bit, and maybe they'll go after the tag team titles or something like? Like, I'm just kind of curious to see what the long-term thing is for them. And I am curious. They have my attention. It is an interesting group of people, and so I can definitely say at the very least they've got the people's eyebrows raised. How about that?
All right. Okay, cool.
How about that?
Okay.
Yeah, support that channel.
Yeah,
Yes,
support the
sir.
channel while you can. While we're wrapping up tonight, I'll just leave that up for the remainder of the time if anybody wants to make any loving donations. And if you don't want to do that, if you have spare time, I've got a playlist of all my videos trying to get those hours up. So if you have nothing to do in the weeks to come, feel free to check out those videos. Give your boy some hours so I can I can stand shoulder to shoulder with these titans of wrestling YouTube.
Congratulations on the sub count. I just realized you almost at 7K, bro.
Man,
wow.
Promotions are a beautiful thing, but no, I mean we've got a great community here, and I'm very excited for that. I got more videos in the chamber, ready to kind of get those things going. But B, don't mean to talk over you. You have any closing thoughts as well?
Give Austin Theory a chance.
No.
Hashtag give Austin a chance, or give Theory a chance. We don't want to get it twisted.
On him. That's stink like a monkey. He's never getting that McMahon stink off of him.
Hey, you've only got to say one thing. Channel the tribal chief. Lower that voice and just say, your daddy's not here anymore.
Man, you ain't never lied. You ain't never lied. And he ain't never gonna be. Your uncle ain't here. Your auntie ain't here. Go sit in the corner.
Roman's got so many Hall of Fame promo lines to choose from. That still might be one of my favorites.
Absolutely.
Because when he popped the whole rest of the bloodline, whenever you see Jay or Jimmy have to turn their back to the camera, you know he's like struck gold. Like they're all looking for somewhere else to look. Even Heyman for a second was like,
Hey man,
I can't believe you said that, Roman. Loved it.
At this point, Austin Theory should go slap himself.
Slap.
Whatever.
Love it. Yeah, absolutely. Quick shout out for everybody too. A and B at 20,000, man. 20,000.
And we're climbing, man.
The big gold of subs. Loving it.
You're trying to get there. You were trying to get there.
Congratulations,
big
guys.
gold of subs, but you know we're all getting up there. We're trying.
The winged eagle of subs, and I'll hold on to the IC title. It's one of my favorite belts, anyways. It's all good. It's all good.
You know
it. Yeah. So finally, just to wrap up on the Heyman faction conversation. Yeah, I'm old school in a lot of my thinking and in my fantasy booking and all this stuff. But honestly, it's just basic storytelling, right? Like, I want to know what this group wants. And they don't have to have a 20-minute segment to prove it. They can find a way to communicate what it is they want in their existence, what they're trying to accomplish. Don't come out and say Seth Rollins is the reigning, defending main event guy. Like, dude, main evented WrestleMania 10 years ago. Like, tell us something we don't know. Tell us something that you want that we haven't already figured out or haven't already been shown for years. Because that's the thing. Seth is a top guy and been a top guy. So, show us a little more. And I'm all for adding more people. I'd love to see 2, maybe 3 more people added. I just would really love it if the additions make sense. And not that it's like super obvious, but that those additions, those of us who pay attention every single week, like we do, when A and B are covering Raw and SmackDown Live, that we could see it, and as it's happening, already kind of being led in that direction. Like, it doesn't have to be spelled out for us as soon as, the Creed brothers are added, so the LWO is obviously going to feud with them, or what, I would love for and this is such an old school mentality, especially back in the NWA and like Dusty Rhodes's Rock and Roll Express's NWA. There was never a babyface faction. It was just all the dudes who were beefing with the Horsemen, because there were already existing beefs going on, and good guys get along better than bad guys. That's just a wrestling rule. They don't mistrust each other. And so, if we've got Braun and Seth, and we could have Punk and Roman, and you could add a couple. You find a way to throw Penta in there. What the heck? Make it look like a weird Survivor Series elimination match. We don't have to do war games. You can make it a 5-on-5. And you want to tell me that like we could get a segment where Penta and Seth are going at it for a couple minutes? All those kind of things. I miss, and it's not just because I'm Mr. Old School traditional guy, all the stuff, but like there's a reason those pay-per-views were exactly the same every year for like 6 or 7 years, because there were formulas that worked, and so if you did that, it worked. So anyway, I now that Dwayne's in movie mode again, I trust where it's going. Cody's not involved in this right now, so it's fine. But like I know I genuinely do trust anything Heyman gets involved with, they treat with responsibility. I do think that about him as a person in that industry, that he doesn't waste his own time. So I'm interested to see where it goes. Hopefully they pace it well, I guess, because you've only got a couple of weeks till Backlash, and then a couple of weeks after that till Saturday night's main event, and then a couple of weeks after that is Money in the Bank. So we got 3 events coming up fast. So hopefully they've got their pacing figured out, so where they're not dumping everything on Monday, but also they've got, a roadmap to where they're going. So I'm going to stay optimistic about it until they give me a reason not to be. And
that makes sense.
Which they are capable of doing. We all saw WrestleMania, so we'll see what happens. But anyways, thank you, A&B, for taking the time to be here this week.
Thank you for having us.
Coming into my house and just not putting your feet up on the furniture. I really appreciate it.
That's what I'm saying. Forget your couch.
I can't buy another one. Not yet. Not yet. Maybe
Come
one
on,
day.
Charlie Murphy.
Yeah, right. But no, thank you guys for being here. Thank you, Chad, for being here, and for just the great community we have here. Friday night, you guys are back on for SmackDown, yeah?
Yep.
All right. On SmackDown, we've got our podcast that we did with Mark Bar Wrestling. So that is currently being edited, the video exclusively for the members. Also, our members backstage, what we did at WWE World for WrestleMania weekend, that is almost finished, and that's going to be coming out soon. But the podcast itself on streaming platforms everywhere.
All streaming platforms. You can find us on A&B Combos Wrestling Podcast.
That's right. You can listen, you can't hear Jimmy.
When you listen to this week's podcast, grab a thing of sour cream, because this got a little spicy this week, so if you have mild constitutions, okay, so we'll all reconvene back with A&B Combos on Friday and Raw on Monday, and next Tuesday you'll see us right here for some number 1 contender matches and a 25-man battle royal, and Joe Hendry and Hank and Tank in a 6-man tag. Let's go.
Bring it.
Next week's going to have a lot of fun. All right, guys. God bless y'all. Thanks for being around. We will see you next time.
Thank you, Alex. Appreciate y'all.
Don't forget to be a mark. And we know why. Because being a mark means you believe. Believing makes wrestling better. And we'll see you guys next time.
Next time.